Hello and welcome to Will Watches. This is Squid Game episode 9. So we're finally here at the finale. Ji-hun and Sung-woo's big face-off now. This is the final game, so it has to be the Squid Game, right? That we saw right at the start in the first episode. That just kind of has to be it. Like, thematically, it makes so much sense for that to be what the final game is. And then also, this episode is quite a long episode. It's like an hour, like most of the other ones. And I'm wondering if this is the final episode. Will it end on us seeing who wins, or will it end with it kind of extending past that point? Because we've seen with a lot of the episodes, it's not like the full episode is just the game. It's usually like something and then the game, or half of a game taking up half the episode and something else taking up the other half. So what I'm assuming is like first half will be the game, we'll get our winner, which I think is going to be Ji-hun, and then the rest of the game he's going to have to go find his daughter. I don't know if they're already left for America. He's going to go reunite with his daughter with all of this money, see what he does with the money, you know, and then perhaps we see some of what he's doing with Se-byuk's brother, because he made that promise to her. And I think if Ji-hun does win, he's going to go to Sung-woo's mother as well and pay off his debt for the store and everything, because he kind of put her store on the line, didn't he? So I think he'll go and pay that off as well. So I'm super excited for this episode, but I am also dreading it because I know it's going to be emotional, this confrontation with Sung-woo and Ji-hun. But Sung-woo's actions the last few episodes, they have made him a little less sympathetic, because he's been stabbing people in the back, and we've seen throughout he's not being like the most honest, is he? So before we jump into this, be sure to check out the Patreon. Over there you can find 1 week early access. You can also find polls so you can vote for what's next, and you can find a full-length timer version of this where you just sync up your own footage and you can watch along with me. So yeah, let's just jump right in. Oh yeah, look, of course it's the Squid Game. I still don't really get how that looks like a squid. I mean, I can kind of see the pointy top, but like, where's the tentacles? One lucky day. Oh, right off the bat, we're just starting. Who's offense and who's defense? Okay. Look how determined Ji-hun is. The anger in him as well. He's choosing offense, okay. It's great seeing how this started as friends and now they've become rivals. The last one standing will be the winner. Is that implying that they can fight and kill each other?
So any kind of violence is allowed?
Sure. There are no restrictions.
Getting prepared. So what I remember, he has to cross, there's these two bits that he has to like cross over, right? Oh, playing dirty, grabbing a handful of sand. This just feels like it is a fight, but with like 1 or 2 added rules. Oh, does Sung-woo have a knife? Oh, okay. The same one, yeah, the same one that they were given as in their, Oh, that was so cold. Him just walking, looking down on him. Yes, the knives they were given with their food. Look how he seems almost like depressed. He like kind of feels emotionless, out of touch. I don't know. Oh, and her hairpin is the symbols as well. They've added rain to make it even more dramatic, of course. Yeah, see. But even if she survived, she wouldn't have survived this game. Yeah, she stopped him. So they've both got knives, but she's not here, so she can't act as the moral compass for him now and hold him back. Ooh. Sung-woo's dropped his. Yeah, they just got to use whatever they can to their advantage. They're both knifeless. to win, Jihan has to just get to the head, right? There could be this situation where Sungwoo's so focused on fighting that he doesn't realize Jihan's actually won. The thing is, like, even if you win the games, all of the guilt you must hold once you've got out of the game would just be crippling, wouldn't it? Like having to have killed someone. And the mud is probably just like slowing him down as well. It's just real relentless. Ooh. Oh, he got 2 good stabs in there. Yeah, they made it this far. They've come too far for it to end. Oh. Oh, he took a chunk out. He's still got the knife in his hand as well. Wow. You killed everyone. Is Jihan actually going to be able to do it though? He can't do it. Can he just like walk into the head and win? Will that count as a win? And then the guards will just take out Sungwoo instead of Jihan doing it himself. He can barely walk though. He's too good. He's not gonna let that happen either, is he?
Oh no.
How many guards are there in there with him? Is it just that one?
동의서 제3항. 참가자 과반수가 동의하면 게임은 중단된다.
Oh, and there's a majority vote. Can they still do that at any point? But neither of them will get any of the money.
456 wants to stop the game.
He's giving up the prize money.
So they could have done this when Saebyuk was still alive, though.
형이랑 이러고 놀다 보면 꼭 엄마가 밥 먹으라고 불러준대. 이제는 아무도 안 부른대.
If they could have done the vote at any point, it just makes me think, like, at what point could have they done a vote and got the majority, like, before the glass game, perhaps? They definitely could have done it before Saebyuk had died. Get out, get her medical attention. Because even if Sungwoo wanted to carry on, Saebyuk and Jihan could have voted.
미안해.
Did it to himself so Jihan would get the money. Go help her, yeah, exactly. Even after all of that, Jihan still saw the good in him. Look how empty it is. Just one guy watching. So Jihan's the winner. Didn't even get to see like what the VIPs think.
우승 축하합니다. 대단한 경기였습니다.
Oh, he's just maskless in there, revealing who he is. There's nothing to celebrate. Oh, he's blindfolded.
이런 짓을 하는 거.
There's nothing for him to celebrate though, is there?
당신들은 말입니다. 경마장의 말.
Yeah, we did see Jihan is a betting man.
당신은 얼마 달리지 못할 줄 알았는데.
But that's kind of like, they see the poor as a lower life form a bit.
누구야 너? 누구야?
So yeah, actually the conflicts, the actual game ended quite quickly. So there's going to be a bit of time wrapping everything up.
예수 믿으세요.
Oh. The credit card with all the money. Oh yeah, it's his number. What do you even do when seeing that balance? You can see he's won, but he's definitely not winning. He's not enjoying any of this, is he? I have noticed what the characters say and what the subtitles are when they say their names are slightly different. Like it's Ji-hun, but she said like Ji-na. So I'm wondering if that's just like a kind of elderly way of saying something like to your elders. You use a different saying than someone who's like younger than you, that kind of thing. But they just simplify it for the subtitles.
엊그제부터 장사도 안 나왔어. 내가 한번 가봐야 되는데.
After all of that, his mum isn't dead, is she?
됐어. 돈 있으면 엄마 갖다 드려. 딴 데 쓰지 말고.
And she doesn't even want to accept any money.
저 요즘 상우랑
Have you heard from Sung-woo? He's just disappeared off the map for her. For her, he's just kind of disappeared and she's never going to get any closure from that. Like, along with all of the families of the people that died. If Sung-woo wanted to split the entire money between the families of all of the people who won, how much would that be for each family, you know? Because it's 46 billion, so it'd be 100 million to each family because it was 100 million for each player, right? Don't need to convert that.
엄마 나왔어.
Yeah, is she actually going to be here? Is she actually going to be okay? It's just like another punch in the gut. But it also shows money can't buy everything, you know? It can only go so far.
엄마 나왔어. 엄마.
He was so busy getting the money so he could pay for her surgery or her treatment that he never actually spent the last days with her.
눈 좀 떠봐.
It just feels like Ji-hun's just kind of lost everything. He's just so defeated at this point.
저희 은행에 돈을 예치하신 지 꽤 오래되셨는데 아직 아무런 말씀이 없으셔가지고요.
Has he just like not spent any money in all of this time? Not done anything with the money?
일반 예금 계좌에 있는데 거기는 이자가 거의 없거든요.
He could be earning more interest on it.
10,000만 빌려주시겠습니까?
He's got all of that money, but he's still borrowing money from people. He's still trying to live this lifestyle that he had before. So has he decided just to like not touch the money at all?
이거 오늘 못 팔면은요 다 시들어버려서요. 감사합니다.
Saying thank you just reminds me of Ali, because he was always thanking people, saying that phrase and bowing. Not being called back into the games or something, is he? And they always put the red bows on the boxes. But this is like a gold letter, not just on card like the others. Come to this location. From your... I don't know how to say the word. Gugambu? That's... Player 1, the old man. Kagambu was your friend, your partner, the old man. That was what they said in episode 6. That's the title of episode 6. Is he still alive? We never actually saw him die. We saw Ji-hun walk off and then we heard a shot. We never actually saw his like body fall to the floor or anything. Is he in charge of the whole games? Like, how would he get a letter with the symbols on that's sent to him as well? Because we saw the leader, and for a second I did think it was him, but the hands, when the guy took off the mask, they looked too young to be him. It didn't look like him. I did think it for a split second, but I didn't even say it because the hands, they just didn't look like they'd belonged to someone so old. Yeah, this is a whole year later, so he looks...
당신이 안 치십니까? 저대로 놔두면은 금방 얼어.
He's not even answering his questions. He's focusing on this homeless guy.
가던 길 멈추고 저 냄새나는 인간 쓰레기를 누군가 저 사람을 도와주면 자네가 이기는 거예요.
Was he trying to prove here that people won't help out the drunk person? But people walking past, they might not necessarily have the capacity to help, unlike him, who's got all of this money.
게임을 해주면 질문에 답을 해주겠다.
Is that kind of why he has the games? Because he is, he's helping these poor people technically by then winning the money at the end of the game, but there's only one winner, is the winner to prove that you're worthy of it. Because, a lot of people, they say they don't help homeless people because, they'll just spend it on drugs, they'll just make it worse, so they won't help. Is that kind of why he's done the game? Instead of helping out a homeless person, he tries to get the homeless person to prove that they're worthy of the money. Might as well take everything back. He doesn't care.
난 돈을 굴리는 사람이야.
돈을 얼마나 쉽게
He lends out money. He's the loan shark.
어디까지가 진짜고 어디까지가 거짓이.
Yeah, so it was all an act, him in the game, wasn't it?
내 머릿속에 종량이 있는 것도 사실이고 옛날에
So he used to live in the same neighborhood, but he got out of it, earned a ton of money. The guy just fall over. He's not dead out there, is he?
아직도 사람을 그 일을 겪고도
Trying to prove that people aren't good at their core or something?
손도 대지 않고 그대로 산다고 들었어.
Yeah, he's still living the same lifestyle.
죄책감 같은 건가?
He doesn't feel worthy of it, perhaps.
죄책감? 그건 당신이 할 소리가 아닌 것 같은데.
Yeah, Il-Nam doesn't feel any guilt, but Jihan does.
돈이 하나도 없는 사람, 돈이 너무 많은 사람의 공통점이 뭔 줄 사는 게 재미가 없다는 거야.
They both have no purpose.
아무리 뭘 사고 먹고 마셔도.
Yeah, it's kind of the money doesn't buy happiness.
그래서 다들 모여서.
And that's why they put together the game, because they were bored, basically. They play with their lives just for fun.
잊은 것 같고 나는 아무 얘기도
No. You can't say that. No. They had to play for the money.
정말 아직도 사람을.
Yeah, he's just so pessimistic. Why is he judging people for not helping when he's not doing it himself?
죽기 전에 꼭 한번 다시 느끼고 싶었어. 관중석에 앉아서는 절대로 느낄 수.
So he wanted to play, not just spectate. But he could have just made a game for the rich people or something then.
재밌었거든. 자네랑 같이 노는 게.
Got the chance to feel again. He's not going to die here, is he? God, I'm so conflicted. I like feeling for him, but also I hate him because of what he's done. Oh, the police are going to help. Oh, they went and got the police to come and help.
사람이 왔어.
So that disproves Il-Nam's ideology. But he died before he actually got to see it. He died before he got to see the good. Hopefully that can spur Jihan on to use this money for good. Instead of just wallowing away without using any of it. He hasn't used any of it out of guilt, but he can use it to make amends for everything.
보는 것이 하는 것보다 더 재미있을 수가.
Yeah, now that he was out of the game at that point. Household debt is on the rise. The thing is, even with all of the money that he has, he can only make a tiny dent in, the scale of the world. No matter how good your intentions are with all of the money, you can't fix it without proper systematic change. Ooh, bright red hair. There's got to be some deeper meaning behind that. the guards were always in that pink or that red, depending on how you see it. Oh, the brother. Yeah, so he's finally gonna start helping people out with the money.
강철. 아이고, 이름이 아주 남자답네.
So he's having Sungwoo's mom adopt him.
나 먹는 상에 그냥 내 밥숟가락.
Nice to have some company. So she's lost Sungwoo, but she's got Cho as a kind of replacement, I guess. She's lost one son, but gained another.
철이 밥은 먹었어?
You can't just replace a child like that, replace a son like that, but it is nice. It's like something to fill her heart, you know, something for her to focus on. Oh, it's going to be filled with money. How much is there? It looks like loads. The money I owe Sungwoo. Okay, so she, he's already walked off. She can't turn it down now. 'Cause she definitely would have turned it down, wouldn't she? Oh, at the airport, going to America. They're really building up here, waiting for him to come off.
아빠 이제 공항에 거의 도착했어.
Yeah.
그럼 우리 가영이 선물도 샀지.
And he can get whatever present he wants now.
아빠도 사랑해.
Oh, they're out recruiting for the next game. Oh, it's just that little smirk.
그건 되나요? 안 돼. 절대로.
Yeah, don't do it. It's not worth it.
게임에 참가를 원하십니다.
He's phoning them up.
잘 들어. 난 말이 아니야.
I'm not a horse. Okay.
너희들이 누군지.
He's still questioning it, who they are.
어떻게 사람에게 이런 짓을 할 수 있는지.
456번.
Oh, frontman is talking to them. Don't get any ideas. He's not gonna go after it or go after them or something.
그 비행기를 타. 그게 당신한테 좋을 거야.
So he's not getting on the plane. He's going back. Is he going to try and stop the next game? That didn't feel like he was signing up to the next game. That felt like he was just questioning them. Now he's on a mission to try and stop. Or the potential season 2. That is a good leading to season 2 actually as well. Okay, so that's Squid Game done and dusted. So at the end there, it seems like Ji-hun, he is going after the creators of the game. He's going after all of these people. So I'm wondering, that's obviously a bit of a setup for season 2. I don't know if season 2 has been confirmed, but that's a good progression into that. So season 2, it probably will focus on that rather than focusing on him in a game, unless they manage to like capture him and force him into a game again, perhaps. Or it could be a situation where we're introduced to a new cast of characters who are in the game, and then Ji-hun is outside the game, like we had our characters in the game, and then we had Jun-ho outside the game trying to shut it down. So it's like he has now transitioned from being in the game to kind of Jun-ho's position outside of the game. And that could be a season 2, like what they do with that, because I do think the drama of the games is kind of integral to the story as well, right? I don't know if you could have a season 2 if we didn't get anything from the games, And then at the end there, he's like dyed his hair red. I've got a few theories on what the symbolism there could be. So like, first of all, my immediate thinking is all of the guards always wear red. So is he trying to become more like the guards for some reason? So they're called guards. Is the red being like he is guarding the fellow like poor people, or is it because he's like more aggressive now, he's going to hunt down, he's going to find and question and put an end to the games? Because the guards, they were always holding weapons, always quite aggressive. So is that him being more aggressive, or is it the guards, it was always like in contrast, it was always the contrast of the poor people in this kind of green teal color, and then it was the guards who, they weren't actually that rich, but they kind of represented the system and these richer people. And because now he is rich, he is part of that system, so he has like embraced his money, because before we seen that he hadn't embraced his money and his wealth beforehand. And then it took that conversation with Ilnam for him to embrace that, and that's him embracing it now. That could be what it is as well. There's like a few different interpretations there. Let me know what you think. Maybe there's something else that you think it could be. Or he just likes the colour red. The curtains were blue. So then back to the start of the episode with the games. You know, we start off just straight into the games, and I think I was just already mentally prepared that Sungwoo was gonna die, so you know, it still was emotional, but I didn't like break down crying like some of the others, especially with like Ali's death. But it still was emotional, but I had just kind of mentally prepared myself at that point, and I was just like so exhausted from the rest of the show, you know. But it was still a great moment, and I think it was the best way for it to happen. You know, a little bit of a redemption in death for Sungwoo, and it means Jihan doesn't really have to compromise his morals, because he isn't the one who actually killed him. It was all Sungwoo's decision. It wasn't even like Jihan won and then a guard killed him, because that would still technically be on Jihan's hands, because he knew he knows what's going to happen if he wins the game, right? So it didn't compromise Jihan's morals in any way. The only time that Jihan has actually done something that to get someone else killed was with Ilnam in the marble game, but that was his only option, and technically he didn't actually die there, so Jihan never actually got anyone killed from memory, from what I can think of off the top of my head. Maybe you could definitely argue the tug of war as well, actually. So, you know, he has got people killed, but it never feels like he has betrayed anyone. Even when he thinks he has betrayed someone, technically he didn't actually betray Ilnam, because Ilnam had been betraying him this like whole time. So somewhat he kind of kept some of his morals intact, and he feels like the best character to win the game at that point, because he is kind of more morally pure than a lot of the other people. I think Ali is probably the only other character, but I think he was too pure-hearted to carry on, and maybe they had to prove a point with that. And, you know, it makes for a super emotional moment when we have this super innocent character in Ali who finally dies. And I think part of Sungwoo's ideology, he wanted to keep carrying on and keep fighting, so the people that had died earlier on in the games, their deaths kind of weren't in vain, that someone did actually win, and they didn't just come out of this with nothing at all, nothing to show for it. But I think that is kind of a bit flawed. You know, he still could have come out, Jihan and him could have come out, they could have earned some honest money somehow, find a stable job and just grind and get through everything. I know it's not exactly easy, you know, that's the whole point of the show, how hard it is to get out of poverty. It's really hammering in a lot of these political issues, these socio-economic issues dealing with poverty, but there is a kind of a hopeful message here as well. With Ilnam, he had this really kind of pessimistic ideology saying, look at all of these people who aren't helping this homeless guy. But he is the one who is most capable of help, right? He is probably one of the richest men in Korea, maybe the whole planet, and he's not helping this homeless guy, and he's hoping that some random person walking past who he doesn't know their financial situation, he's hoping they will have the capability to help him. You know, is very hypocritical, but we see someone does actually help the homeless guy, and we as an audience, we don't know the financial situation of that person that helped. Obviously they helped just by getting the police. It wasn't like they were giving the homeless guy money, so I guess there really wasn't much at stake for them in terms of monetary value. It was just the time it took to get the police and to show them where this person is, but they still did help, you know. So it did prove that Ilnam's whole ideology was flawed, which was good to see. The show isn't just being this really pessimistic message that there's no hope for any of us, we're all going to die poor, And then there was what Ilnam was saying again. It was kind of the money doesn't buy happiness. He was so rich, but he was just bored. He has no purpose. And it's the same for people that have no money. But there is, a middle ground. A lot of people have thrown this around, the money can't buy happiness, but it can buy comfort, right? Like, money can't buy happiness up to a certain point. There is a point before that where money buys comfort, and it can buy your house, it can buy you all these kind of things you need to live, and those things lead to happiness, but it can't buy happiness in perpetuity, can it? But money, it gives you the freedom, it gives him the freedom to do this game, to find a passion, money gives you the freedom to like find a passion, find something to live for. And although it's kind of sadistic and messed up, it did help Ilnam find this purpose in these games that he was playing. And you do think, he said that he enjoyed playing the game more than he enjoyed watching it, and it was all these rich people that wanted to find a purpose again. So it does make me think, why didn't the rich people just play a game together? But I think some of them, Ilnam, he was on his last legs. He wanted that thrill of the life and death situation, even though his life probably wasn't on the line for most of the time. I feel like for most of the games, the guards could have stepped in to stop. So like with the red light, green light, if he had moved, they could have just not shot him. I don't really think many people were paying attention. No one's going to be like, hey, you moved and they didn't shoot you. And then with the down guy on the cookie, it's just one guard watching, so he could have just made it out easy if he had failed that. I think the tug of war, potentially he could have died there if the other team had won, but he already knew kind of the technique. But maybe they could have just brought the guillotine down before the whole team fell. So it does mean that Jihan's whole team there was potentially safe in that whole situation with the tug of war. And then he faked his death for the marble game, obviously, before some of the later games that were a bit more kind of athletic, I guess. Him jump, would he have had the capability to be jumping on these panels and memorize which one was which? So past that point, it was too dangerous for him to play, I guess. Those games, his life would have been actually on the line. And it was really great to see at the end Jihan actually helping. He helped Saebyuk's little brother, he helped Sungwoo's mum, he brought them both together to help. Maybe in a season 2, I'd love to see, maybe he could track down Ali's family, help out Ali's wife and Ali's kid. That would be really great to see as well, because at the moment he's only really helped out Sungwoo and Saebyuk. He hasn't helped out anyone else. But if he is going out to shut down the games, he's going to be helping a lot of people in the future. But the thing is, no matter how much he wants to help, he only has this money, which was around £30 million, which is a lot of money. That is a big amount of money for one person. But when you are one person trying to help this big group of people, it isn't actually a lot, say you wanted to use this money to house a bunch of people, it's £30 million ish. The average price for a house is £300,000 here in the UK. I don't know what it is in Korea. That only buys you 100 houses. So even with this money, he could only house 100 families, or if they're all 3-bed houses, he could house 300 people, which is just a drop in the bucket with all of its money that he actually has, right? It's so hard to make an actual change just with money. You need to kind of attack the political point of it, and it needs to be this deep-rooted systematic change, which would be very slow burning. That would have to be knock-on effects through years and years to actually ever make a dent in anything. And we've seen just how difficult it is to make a change in this political climate, especially when it comes to dealing with poverty, because there's so many people that just want to hold on to their wealth. They'd rather it not be taxed and they hold on to it rather than it being distributed to everyone, And we see how Ilnam and all of the VIPs, all of these rich people, how much they look down on the poorer people. They see them as horses, That's exactly what Jihan said. I'm not a horse, I'm a person. They see them as these lower lower life forms a bit, which is weird from coming from Il-nam, especially when he grew up in the same neighborhoods, in kind of the same conditions as Ji-han, it seems. So it's weird that he would grow up in this situation, gain all of this wealth, but still look down on the poor. But it could be a case of, hey, look, I've done this, why can't all of you do what I've done, you know? I've managed to make it out of poverty, and maybe he sees everyone else who hasn't as lazy, and, you know, that's kind of what he was saying before, people aren't willing to help, which is just super hypocritical of him, because he isn't willing to help anyone. You know, he could have put all of this money that he invested into doing these games, he could have put it into so many other issues that would have still been fulfilling, you know? This was fulfilling, like he was on the edge of his seat, he was playing these games, but surely it would warm your heart and it would be fulfilling just as much to help out a bunch of families, to help out a bunch of people. But he never did that. There was never something that crossed his mind by the looks of it, because he was so pessimistic in humanity as well. And I think part of this is, we see this a lot with, like, when people, they say they don't want to give money to homeless people because they say, oh, they'll just spend it all on drugs, you know? And it's a very hard problem to solve. Throwing money at it won't necessarily solve everything, but it can certainly help. What I said before about if Ji-han wanted to buy a bunch of houses and house a bunch of families, of course that's just a drop in the bucket, but it's still a help. You know, it's not, I'm not saying that if you have the money you shouldn't do all of these good things just because it wouldn't help everyone. You still should, you know? Yeah, I've just loved every second of this show. It's just been really great with its political message, what it's trying to say, really nuanced and really great. I feel like from what I've seen, the South Korean media, it does that really well. I think a lot of the times with Hollywood, it does this capitalist anti-capitalism. St. Andrewism has a great video on that, where it's like it promotes all of these things but it never quite goes the full way. You can't expect all of these capitalist companies to fully be on board, to like fully push the message of anti-capitalism, because it would cause their own downfall, you know? But I think from what I've seen, the Korean media, it does do it quite well, and I think it handles it a bit better than some Western media. Of course, there's like ups and downs on both sides, right? There's some really great Western media that tackles capitalism as well. I'm not saying that there isn't, but from what I've seen, the Koreans do it really well. So this show has just been a great ride. Some great acting. Ji-han's actor has been great throughout, especially in these last few episodes, like 6, 7, 8 and 9. He was great in those, especially when he has to handle these like super emotional moments. He is so good at that. And then all of the games, they're super creative and fun and, you know, creepy. And then it was really great seeing the Jin-ho side as well, seeing the back dealings that were happening. We had this kind of dissection, organ harvesting thing going on, you know, showing these rich people, they had these guards that they were probably paying, right? But these guards that he was still putting their lives on the line to harvest these organs to try and make even more money, to try and make a bit of money on the side. It's probably the case that whatever the VIPs were paying them, it still wasn't enough. So that side was great as well. It was, both of these subplots were great, the inside the games and the outside of the games, and when they kind of melded together, it was really great as well. So yeah, that was Squid Game. What a great show. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, consider leaving a like or a comment. If you really loved it, be sure to subscribe, because whenever season 2 comes out, I'll be sure to give it a watch and post my reactions here. So yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.